pitch now. It's even looking more like a car seat, as every bit you do improves it. This bit now is optional, but I find this makes life a lot easier. I've got some thin plastic. It is only thin plastic as well. You don't want anything really thick or any sort of cellophane stuff that makes a lot of noise, because when you sit on the seat, this is going to stay on here. When you sit on the seat, you'll hear it rustling, or if you've got anything very thick, you'll feel it through the fabric. So what I do with this is I'm just going to put a bit of spray glue on the top edge here. And that is to hold the plastic in place. I'm going to put plastic over the top. And you'll notice I've gone over the hole where the headrest goes. And all I do with that is quite literally poke my fingers in it, and that's made a hole in that. So now this plastic's on here, what I do, again, it's optional. This is to help your cover slide on, because this foam, everything will grip to this foam and you'll have trouble getting it on. What will usually happen is, because the foam's grippy, you'll probably find that it will either tear the cover or rip the foam as you're trying to get it on. So when I put that on, I use some silicone spray. So I spray it all with silicone. Again, you don't have to, because it will slide on the plastic. Get the cover, this is the back cover. Centralise it as best you can. You can see how easy that's sliding on. Now at this stage, you'll notice this is where the handle goes for reclining the seat. And there's no hole in this cover. Don't make any holes in the cover at this stage. So carry on sliding it down. When it's almost on, get the hole that's in the cover here. Get it over the top of the hole that takes the headrest. Get the old headrest, or any headrest, and slide that in position. Once that's slid in, that will keep the cover centralised. So now carry on pulling this down. So you carry on working this down. You can fold it up, and get hold of it and pull it. Gives you something to get hold of once you roll it up. See, now it's taking shape, and I'll show you another little tip in a second. I've got this back on. It looks okay, but it's not gone down fully. It's not enough at the bottom here. You can see here it's got a good inch to go down yet, but I'm struggling to get it down. It won't move anymore. The reason for that is it's cold in this workshop. The colder it is, the stiffer this vinyl gets. So if you did it on a nice warm sunny day, then you'd get it to go on. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put this to one side a second. I'm going to put a cloth on my bench. Now the reason I'm putting a cloth on the bench at this stage is I've got the cover on. So the cover's on the back. What I don't want to do is start getting this dirty or damaging it. Because the other thing is, where that is, this back isn't on fully yet. If I rip that where it is there, by the time I get this back on, there'll be a hole further down. So what I need to do with this is warm this vinyl up to allow me to pull it down. So what I've got is a hairdryer. And with this, I'm going to warm all the top round here and down the sides, then I'll pull it down. I'll show you as I go along. Be careful when you're using a hairdryer, you don't want to burn it, so if you move your hand around with the hairdryer you'll feel how hot the vinyl's getting. So with this now it should pull down. Again, just work it down with your hand. And you can pull on this piping you've got. So if you get hold of the piping, you can give it a good pull. Look up the top, see how it's doing. So with these MG seats, what happens with these now is on the sides here, that card has a clip in it, so you put a clip on the card. So if you get hold of the card like that, tuck your vinyl in, you can even tuck the piping in if you want. So hold that in place. I've got these clips. I don't know whether these come in a kit when you get the kit, but I didn't get any clips, so I've got loads in stock. Put the clip on the bottom of the card and push it on. Same with the back, so I'll put 2 of these on. What you may need to do with these clips is if you get a small hammer, so that's those 2 clips on there. You can see how it's gone there. So those clips go on there to hold that in place. Tuck the vinyl inside and the piping at the back, tuck it in. At the front I've tucked the piping in as well. So that side is all in place. You can see how smooth it's gone here. I'm going to pull the back down later, but this is all in place. I'm going to do exactly the same with this side. Once I've done this side, I'll show you what the next step is. The back's on and in position now. It's all pulled tightly down the sides. You can see how smooth it's gone. Like I say, this one, the MG, has 2 little clips on the bottom of the card there. Some of them, I do know British Leyland ones, have a little screw, bit of card inside and a self-tapping screw through it. So there may be little variations like that, but that's how this one goes. The principle of covering the back is the same way. So now this is on, what I need to do is you've got a flap here for the inside back. I need to tuck that through. So if you look at this, you can see it here. I tuck it through there. And you can see where I stapled the foam before. This is where I'm going to staple. So if I turn it over, you need to turn it into a position where you can work on it. So whichever position suits yourself, just get it in a sort of, whether you need it upside down or on its side, whichever way you find most comfortable. So if you get hold of this now, I've got hold of it in the middle. I'm going to pull the fabric down. So from the top, I'm working my hand down the fabric. So I'll show you what I'm doing there. I'm doing that. So I do that with it. I've got the fabric through here. couple of staples in it there to hold it. Then I'm coming right to the very end of this flap, and again pulling it, hold it tight, now filling in between those. Do the other end as well. Just make sure it's all neat on the front. If you've got any little bits, tuck them in. That's the front done now. On the back, moving to the back. So with this, again, you may need to warm this up. You might get away with it. I don't know how warm it is where you're working, but this here, I need to pull this so that it's nice and straight. But while pulling that, I also need to fold this over and staple it onto this piece of wood. So the way I do it is I hold it with the whole of my hand, not just pulling it with a finger and thumb. And I can feel that up there. Obviously you can't see both ends at the same time. I can feel that there. I'm going to pull it tight as I can till that's on the edge. Once I've pulled it, I'm holding it there now like that. I fold this bit over, swap hands again. And all I'm going to do then is, once that's over, a couple of staples in it there, so you can see what I've done. And what I'll do now is I'll work out both directions until that back's on and nice and tight. Okay, so that's the back done. There's the back, the side and the front of the back. So the next thing on this is where the lever goes to recline the seat. This is where I was saying before, don't cut it, because you've seen how much this pulls down. You would have ended up with a cut down here. So with that now you can actually see where it is. Now the way I do this is a screw hole in the middle of that. I'll just pop my shears in it. And once there's a hole in the middle, I just cut a little cross in it. By cutting across, it allows it to drop over the post. There you go. So the next thing to go on there, you need to put this lever on at this stage, because the next bit to do the seat, you've got to recline the seat, and without that on it you can't do it. So this just has a screw in the centre. The seats you're doing may have a screw in it, it may be a little spring clip in it. So there's the lever on. I've kept the headrest on. The reason I've kept the headrest on is because I'm rolling the seat around. I don't want this new fabric getting damaged. That can either be reupholstered or restored later on, depending on what you want to do with it.